to work on a practice that broadens the collarbones. And BK Iyengar would talk about the collarbones, and particularly the middle of the collarbones, here and here, is an area in the body that we broaden in order to build strength in the back, but also to relieve neck and shoulder pain. And I wanted to read a paragraph from one of my favorite books, which is The Thinking Body by Mabel Ellsworth Todd. And she writes about the shoulders. She says, nearly every bone in the trunk, from the occiput to the pelvis, furnishes surfaces for the attachments of muscles, which are also attached to some portion of the shoulder apparatus, either on various surfaces of the scapula or immediately about its joint with the humerus. These shoulder and arm muscles extend in all directions, to the head, around the rib cage, from spine to sternum, through the entire length of the back, are attached to every vertebra, from the axis to the sacrum, to the strong muscle bands of the front abdominal wall, and to the pelvis. It is this wheel-like arrangement of lines of muscle force through all planes which gives such enormous power to the arms and hands, not alone in doing heavy work, in lifting, throwing, carrying, and pulling, but also in the control of delicately centered movements of the hands and the fingers. So let's go ahead. Everyone come up and stand and bring your feet together and stand with your arms along your side. Turn your palms to face the wall behind you. And we're going to take Urdhva Hastasana. So you're going to take your arms forwards and upwards. And as you take your arms up, keep your palms facing forwards. And just repeat this movement. If it bothers your back or you're finding the balance difficult, then separate your feet about hip distance apart. And sweep your arms up and down and forward and up. And as you do this, can you keep your thighs from moving forwards? But keep the fronts of your thighs pressed to the backs of your thighs. And also keep your front ribs from coming forwards. And inhale and exhale, and then from here bring your arms down. Now with your upper arm, the way it moves, again as she was calling from the collarbone to the upper arm bone, the humerus and the scapula, when you take your arm up, can you move the outer part of your upper arm bone, the area Gita Iyengar calls the outer shoulder, into the back of the body, and also the back of the armpit right here into the back of the body. So when you take your arm up, it will just look a little bit like this, right? So let's just do the right arm first. So take the right arm forward and up and move the outer shoulder and the back armpit into the back of the body, and then lift your chest up, and then exhale and bring your right arm down, and then do the same to the left. So the left arm will go up, and as you take it up, move the outer shoulder back and the back armpit into the back of the body, and then stretch the arm upwards towards the ceiling. Lift your chest up, feet can be together or feet can be apart. And continue to move this outer shoulder area into the back of the body as you lift your side chest forwards and upwards. And then exhale and bring your arm down. And now, once again with both, as you stretch your arms up, move your outer shoulders back, move your back armpits back, and lift your chest up. That's it. And now press your thighs back and your front ribs also back. And then exhale, bring your arms all the way forwards and down. We're going to practice this now lying down. So you'll take a flat position with your torso, have your legs bent, and then feet can be apart. And now take your arms straight upwards. Palms will face the knees. And then from here, take your arms back behind your head onto the floor. Keep your arms straight. And see if you can't get your outer shoulders also to come downwards, so that more of your upper arm bones touch the floor. And as you do this, can you broaden your collarbones from the center of your sternum out to the left and to the right side. And then take your arms up and then bring them onto the floor. Just look for a moment. This next time, notice how I raise the hips and buttocks up and take the arms up. And then from here, as I take the arms back down Again, I aim to get the outer part of the shoulder and also this back of the armpit to come downwards towards the floor. And with the hips raised up, I can also push with my feet and get a little bit of traction to draw the upper arm bone closer to the floor. And then I have to maintain it as I slowly lower the buttocks down. And at the same time, I lengthen the tops of the buttocks in the direction of the heels. So go ahead and lie on your back and separate your feet with your legs bent. Raise your buttocks up, raise your arms up. Hands are as wide as your shoulders, fingers spread, and then slightly push with your feet and draw your outer shoulders downwards towards the floor. And then keep that as you take your arms back. And see that it's not so much about your fingers coming to the floor, but much more about your outer shoulder and the back of your armpit. And then broaden your collarbones from the center to the side. And then as you slowly lower your hips down, lengthen the tops of your buttocks in the direction of your heels. And still work to keep your outer shoulders down, your upper arm bones down, and your collarbones broad. And you can completely understand the phraseology that was used in the reading, that your whole torso is involved with your shoulders. Just keeping your outer shoulders down, keeping your upper arm bones down. And as you lengthen the buttocks in the direction of the heels, you can feel your abdominal wall engaging. And then from here, bring your arms all the way down, and then rest for a moment. This time, you'll take your arms out to the side, rotate the palms to face the ceiling, look left and right, and see that your hands are in line with your shoulders, not with your eyes. And you can see in the camera that my shoulders are in fact off the floor. So as I lift up, I push in the direction of the shoulders to see if I can get the outer shoulders to come down. So go ahead and do that. As you raise your buttocks up a little bit, traction by pushing towards your shoulder side so that you can draw your outer shoulders down. And now broaden your collarbones to the left and to the right side. Now slowly lower your buttocks down without raising your shoulders up. And lengthen the tops of the buttocks towards your heels so that your front ribs don't push upwards. And see if you can't maintain the outer shoulders as they stay in contact with the floor, so your collarbones are very broad, almost widening from the center of your collarbones to the middle of your collarbones, outwards towards your hands. You can repeat this several times when you're working on shoulder issues, both with the arms overhead and with the arms out to the side like this. But we're going to move on. So we'll take a passive variation of a pose called Jatara Parivartanasana. You can bring your feet together, and when you take your legs over to the right side, can you keep your left shoulder from lifting up? So keep the left shoulder down, the left upper arm bone down. And then press your right leg into your left leg and come on up. And when you take your legs over to the left side, keep the outer part of the right shoulder descending towards the floor. Keep the upper arm bone down so that your collarbones stay broad, both sides. Right extends outwards to the right shoulder, to the right hand, and the left extends towards the left hand. And then press your left leg into your right leg as you come on all the way up. And now raise your feet off the floor for a more dynamic version of the pose. So keep your outer shoulders down, and this time keep your feet and your knees off the floor as you take your legs over to the right, feet together, legs together, and see if you can keep your outer left shoulder down, left collarbone broad and extends towards your left hand, and slightly press the back of your right hand into the floor. See if you can lengthen your left collarbone, broaden your left collarbone more. And then press your right leg into your left leg as you come up. And then as you take your other side, keep your right shoulder down, keep the right collarbone extended towards your right hand. And then draw the legs towards your left elbow, keeping your feet together, knees together, feet off the floor, knees off the floor, right shoulder on the floor. And then press your left hand into the floor to get a little bit more length to the right collarbone. And then press your left leg into your right leg as you come on all the way up. And then you can rest with your feet on the floor. Bring your arms down. Our next pose is Anantasana, so you'll turn onto your right side. And if you're working with a shoulder injury, take a blanket and you'll roll it and place it underneath your right armpit. So it'll look a little bit like this. And you'll line yourself completely on your right side. First of all, with your right arm extended outwards and your left hand on the floor. With your right arm extended, palm faces down, look at your feet, look at your hand, and line yourself all on one line. And then pick yourself up and move your right side ribs closer to your foot side. Move your ribs towards the legs. And then from here, without disturbing that length, bend your right elbow and place your head in your hand. And then see, can you get a little bit more length to your right ribs as you pull them towards your foot side. Relax your neck, relax your face. And then as you balance, press your right little toe down into the floor and also away towards the left. And then you can take your left arm alongside the body. And see if you can't release your right side ribs. Relax them downwards towards the mat, even if they don't touch. And then to come on out, you'll release and take your second side. If your left shoulder is injured, you'll take that same roll blanket support underneath your left armpit. And as you extend your left side, keep your right hand on the floor, keep your legs straight, and pick yourself up and draw your left ribs in the direction of your leg side. Push your legs away from your inner thighs towards your inner ankles and heels. And press the left little toe down into the floor and also the little toe mound away towards the right. Now bend your left elbow, bring your hand into your head into your hand, and then lengthen your left side ribs again in the direction of your leg side. Relax your neck. Don't be surprised if you feel a slight stretch in your neck. Keep the legs straight, and to balance, press your left little toe mound down and also away towards the right. And push your inner ankles towards your inner heels to the big toe mounds, also to the right. And then you can balance by bringing the right arm alongside your body and see if you can't soften your left side ribs, releasing them. Without pushing, just let them relax. And then bring your hand down and come on all the way up. Our next pose is going to be Uttita Parshvakonasana. So you'll need a block for this, so you can also bring your fingertips to the floor. The block will go behind you on the right side of your sticky mat. So from here, as you bend to your right side, the left foot turns in, the right leg turns out. You can place your right hand down onto the block. And now with your left arm, can you sweep it over just like Anantasana, so that you can take your arm up and then turn your palm in the direction of the right and reach the arm over by your ear. So extend now from your left heel all the way to your left fingertips. And keep reaching and turn your right ribs to the left ribs upwards towards the ceiling. And can you draw your left armpit, your left outer shoulder back towards the wall behind you? And then pull from your left arm as you come on up. Take your second side. Turn your right foot in, your left leg out. On your exhalation, bend your left leg and bring your left hand down onto the block. Now from here, turn your right palm upwards towards the ceiling and make a huge sweep as if you're swimming. Take the top arm up and over by your ear. Now turn your left ribs to your right ribs towards the ceiling and move your right back shoulder and your, outer shoulder and back armpit towards the wall behind you. And keep moving the outer shoulder and the back armpit back as you spin the left ribs to the right ribs, turning your chest forwards. Reach from your back heel, your right heel, all the way to the fingertips of your right hand, and then pull from your top arm as you come on up, and then turn your feet, step or jump your legs together. When we take Parsvakonasana again, pay particular attention to this back armpit area. When we come into the pose, often, I'm turning towards the camera so you can see, the arm has a tendency to swoop over the face. And to mitigate that, often we just bend the elbow and take the hand back. But once you get into this top arm position where the arm is straight up and you spin and turn the palm, can you move the outer shoulder and the back armpit into the back of the body? Rather than being here, it comes more into the back of the body as you sweep the arm all the way over. Let's have a go. Take your feet to the side, and then turn your left foot in, bend your right leg, turn out to the right side. Now on your exhalation, bend your right leg, bring your right hand down onto the block, and take your left arm straight upwards towards the ceiling. Remember when we were lying down on the floor doing that variation of Jatara Parivartanasana, where there was a twist. Can you twist your right ribs to the left ribs to the ceiling? And then move your outer shoulder on the left side back, and your back armpit also further into the back of the body as you turn your palm and sweep the arm over by your ear. Spin the right ribs to the left ribs to the ceiling. Move your left outer shoulder back. Hug your left back armpit into the back of the body. And then pull from your top arm as you inhale and come on up. You'll take your other side and perceive that this pose, Utthita Parsvakonasana, is really a half Urdhva Hastasana, that we're seeking to extend the arm over on one side, whereas classically, of course, in Urdhva Hastasana, it would be both arms. So as you bend your left leg, bring your hand down onto the block, and take your right arm straight up. Pull your right heel down. The outer edge of your right heel reaches towards the floor. And then, just like the lying down version of Jatara that we did, turn your left ribs to your right ribs towards the ceiling, and move your outer right shoulder into the back of your body. Keep it there as you turn the palm and reach the arm over by your ear. It's not that your hand and your forearm move back. Can you move into the back of your body from your back armpit and from your outer shoulder so that your collarbone stays broad, particularly on this top side? Spin your left ribs to your right ribs towards the ceiling. And can you keep working to move your upper arm bone into the back of your body? And then pull from your top arm as you come on up. Turn your feet. Step or jump your legs together. Broaden your collarbones. Broaden the middle of your collarbones. And notice just how much of your torso is involved. From the base of your skull to the base of your pelvis. Okay. Our next pose is Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Bring your hands down onto your sticky mat and have your index fingers pointing forwards for today, and slightly bend your thumbs. And then press downwards into the floor with the thumb mounds with the index finger mounds and even with the middle finger mounds. Drive them straight downwards into the floor and then maintain that as you lift your knees up and lift your buttocks up and take Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now as you keep the buttocks raised and press the fronts of the thighs to the backs of the thighs, can you not lose the extension to the inner edges of your hands? And then as the inner hands come down, can you once again raise the backs of your shoulders upwards? Outer shoulders lift upwards. Inner hands extend downwards. And then as you press your thighs back, can you lengthen your inner arms from your inner forearms up to your inner upper arms, and let your head and neck release. To come down, bend your knees and bring your feet down, knees down onto the floor. So this next time, you can just watch for a moment. We're going to take the pose like this so that you see how instead of moving directly back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, I bring the collarbones slightly forwards. And as I extend downwards into the hands, there's an action here of drawing the outer shoulders up and also broadening the collarbones. So I see as I stretch back into the pose, I'm not going to let my head and neck release, but I'm going to work to keep the head lifted to keep the collarbones broad. Inner hands down, outer shoulders up, collarbones broad. Inner hands down, outer shoulders up, collarbones broad. Until eventually, when I take my head and let it release downwards, it comes down in between my arms. So let's go ahead and have a go. Take your hands down and organize your index fingers so that they face forwards. And then press downwards through the inner edges of your hands. Look towards the wall in front of you and broaden your collarbones. Now press your inner hands down, lift your knees up and look forwards. Look as high up the wall in front of you as you can and broaden your collarbones. You can have your legs bent or straight for this pose, for this part of the pose, but keep your buttocks lifted and then press down through the inner edges of your hands. Lift up through your outer shoulders and your back armpits towards the ceiling and broaden your collarbones. And then recycle these instructions as you slowly start to press your thighs back. And only let your head and neck release right at the end. When you come to a place where your arms and legs are fully extended away from each other. But see that your back armpits stay lifted. See that your outer shoulders stay lifted. And then draw your collarbones in the direction of your shins. And let your head and neck release from there. And then bring your knees to the floor and rest. Our next pose is going to be full arm balance. So those of you who do handstand, full arm balance, you will take that at the wall. And if you don't, you can repeat downward facing dog once again. But when you come into your full arm balance, just watch for a moment. You can have your hands 5 to 7 inches away from the wall. And as I walk in, watch from here as I walk the heels up the wall. And as I also look away from the wall and draw my collarbones upwards towards the ceiling. And what this does is it broadens the collarbones and moves the upper arm bones into the back of the body. And then I can let my head and neck release. To come down, you reach up with one leg, and then exhale and come on out. Uttanasana. So place your hands down, and then walk in until your shoulders are above your wrists. Swing up with one leg and then the other leg. And press your hands down and walk your heels higher and higher up the wall. And then look away from the wall upwards towards your feet. Move your outer shoulders back towards the wall. Broaden your collarbones and walk your heels higher. And without losing any of the length in the front and the back of your body, let your head and neck release. And then reach up with one leg and exhale and come on all the way down and rest in standing Uttanasana, or when you come out of downward facing dog, rest with your knees on the floor. Our next pose is Shirshasana, is head balance, and you're going to work with the pose today using a block. When I use a block for this pose, I always go a little close to the wall, but for this video, I'm going to show Ardha Shirshasana, half Shirshasana in the center of the room so that you can see it. For those of you who are not doing Shirshasana, I'm going to recommend a standing Uttanasana, standing forward bend. And you can do that with your feet together or your feet apart. But notice the position of the block. I have it on this medium height, and it's the higher position. And the block is going to go close to a wall, but not all the way out the wall, on account that I have to hold on to the block with the fingers and also the thumbs. The elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. And the idea is that I have to keep my outer elbows pulled down into the mat, and also an extension towards the outer wrists, so that the forearms bear full weight on the mat. When I come into the pose, the back of the head comes into the block, and you'll notice the block tips slightly. So I have to pull the block back towards my head using my index fingers. And what this action does is broaden the collarbones a lot. So then from here, as I come into Ardha Shirshasana, it starts to happen more. So I pull with the index fingers into the block and broaden the collarbones as much as I can. And it's from this position that you'll take yourself up into Shirshasana. I keep pulling with my index fingers to broaden the collarbones. So let's go ahead and take Shirshasana. I'll go through the pose with you. If you like to take a longer Shirshasana, you can press pause on the camera. But otherwise, take your mat to a wall, be a couple of inches away from the wall, and then you can hold on to your block and wrap your hands all the way around, including your thumbs. See that your elbows are underneath your shoulders, and pull the outer edge of your elbow straight downwards into the mat. And then lengthen from your outer elbows to your outer wrists so that your forearms are down on the mat. And then take the back of your head close to the block. You might have to move your knees a little closer in. And then from here, broaden your collarbones by pulling the block directly back into your head. Tuck your toes under, raise your knees up, and as you walk in, pull the block strongly towards your head and broaden your collarbones. Now press your outer elbows and your forearms down. Raise your shoulders up to broaden your collarbones more. And then you can take one leg up or both legs up. And as soon as you're up with your legs straight, push upwards towards the ceiling with the inner edges of your legs and pull the block in towards your head. Use your index fingers to pull the block in and see if you can anchor your outer elbows into the floor and broaden your collarbones. For some of us, that action causes the front ribs to come forwards. So pull your front ribs into your body and pull the block into the back of your head at the same time. And then like we worked right at the beginning today, as you stretch your legs up, can you move the very tops of your buttocks upwards towards the backs of your knees, upwards towards the ceiling? And for the last half a minute here, can you keep your collarbones broad,
bouncing out on the left and to the right side, observing how can you use your hands, your forearms, your upper arms, your shoulders, your shoulder blades, your side waist, your buttocks and your legs to keep your collarbones broad. To come on out, you can come out one leg at a time, both legs at a time. Keep your collarbones broad as you bring your feet onto the floor and then rest with your head down. Those of you in the standing forward bend will slowly come on up. Our next pose is seated virasana, and we're going to do the variation that BKS Iyengar shows in light arm yoga that focuses on broadening the collarbones. If you need to sit up on a block or support, you'll do that. Otherwise, you'll bring your calf muscles out and down as you sit back into virasana, and take your forefingers, not your thumbs, and push them, pull them onto the kneecaps. Fingers will point downwards towards the floor. Now your arms stay straight. Start to pull your hands and your arms up, and then let your head and neck release down. So there's a pull of the skin of your kneecaps, even the skin at the tops of your shins upwards towards your shoulders. And then you let the head and neck release down. And then any amount can you broaden your collarbones. And don't be surprised if you feel a stretch right in the back of your neck, especially at the top of the trapezius muscles. And see for the next half a minute or so if you can maintain the interaction of your hands and your arms as they pull up, your head and neck as they release down, and then an ongoing broadness to your collarbones. And then to come on up, release your hands and come out of virasana. You can extend your legs out into dandasana to straighten your legs. Have your feet slightly apart. Press your heels down. Press the backs of your knees down. And then as you lift your chest, today allow for that to be a broadness through your collarbones. Through the middle of your collarbones out towards your upper arms. Outer shoulders back, back armpits back. Collarbones broad. And then release and come on out. We're going to take some variations of savasana. We're going to take savasana 2. We're going to take niyalamba 1 and niyalamba 2. For those of you who do not do shoulder stand, you're going to make sure that you have a bolster or 3 blankets rolled around each other, and I will show what you're going to be doing. For those of you who are setting up for savasana, this can be your setup. I always like to have a support underneath the back of the head, but that's up to you. You can also put a bolster at the other end of these Mexican blankets for extra support. Now, as I mentioned, if you're not doing shoulder stand, I'm going to go a little further away from the camera so you can see. You're going to take Setu Bandha. And from here, you get to come back just a little bit so that the shoulders, first of all, don't touch the floor, but they release with gravity. And it shall be on the back of your head towards the crown of your head. So you're not all the way on the back as you would be if you were to come into shoulder stand, but you're also not on the crown, sort of halfway between. And you can straighten your legs from here. And then after a few moments, you can slide a little further back until your shoulders come down, until the outer shoulders come down, and then the collarbones broaden. Don't take your arms any higher than this, but keep them roughly to the side, and then you can also work with your legs straight out. Notice the legs are apart. To come out of this, you can bend your legs and just slide the bolster away to come on out of the pose. So those of you setting up for savasana, lie down on your blankets and place your shoulders up on the blankets. Bring your hands towards your hips or towards the bolster, and then swing your legs over to halasana. Now roll onto the outer shoulders and interlace your hands behind your back. Use this to roll onto the outer shoulders a little more, but see that you don't pull your shoulders too far onto the blankets, as it can cause quite a lot of strain in your neck. But broaden your collarbones from here as you stretch your arms and your legs in opposite directions. If your shoulders will take this next action, you'll bend your elbows, turn your thumbs down towards the floor and towards your back ribs, and then push your palms away. If it's too much for your shoulders, simply undo the interlock and extend your arms away with your palms facing the floor. And then from here, you can take your legs straight up. And as you press your outer shoulders down, extend from your outer shoulders to your outer elbows towards your hands. And see if you can't get your forearms to push down towards the blanket, so into the bolster. And strongly lift up through your side chest and broaden your collarbones from here, outwards to the sides as you press your arms down, draw your thighs up, and pull your middle buttocks strongly into the body so that you can be more vertical. Switch the interlace of your fingers and press your outer shoulders and forearms down. Raise your side chest up, extend your legs up, pull your middle buttocks in. These can be held for longer periods of time. You can always press pause on the camera. And then come into halasana and stretch your arms overhead towards your feet. Take your fingernails down, and just like we started with today, can you take your outer shoulders down and broaden your collarbones from here, and then you can take your legs up once again. One leg up at a time, or both legs up. And then press your outer shoulders down. Press your hands down, the backs of your hands into the floor, and then lift up through the sides of your chest. Nirlamba 1 allows for more of a lift to the upper part of the back. And the balance is achieved from drawing the outer shoulder bones down with a strong extension upwards from your side chest to your legs, middle buttocks in, tailbone in. You can come into halasana to transition to Nirlamba 2, or you can keep your legs up and then take the arms alongside the outer thighs and balance in Nirlamba Savasana 2. Draw your outer shoulders down, take your front thighs up, draw your middle buttocks in, and broaden your collarbones to get more extension to your outer shoulders and more balance in the pose. Keep lifting up from your upper back to your middle buttocks into the body, front thighs up. And then to come down, you can bring your hands to your back, or you can bring your hands to the floor. As you take your feet to the floor, release your hands over towards your buttocks as you bend your legs and come down. And if you're doing setu bandha, you'll bend your legs and then everybody slide back and out of the pose. And then you can roll over to your right side and come on up. You're going to take a savasana, and I'll show the setup, and then you can turn the camera off and lie here for a while. You're going to need a couple of blankets, and one of them you're going to roll up, not very much, just maybe a single roll. And then the other blanket will be a pillow for your head. And you get to lie back on this roll so that it makes contact with the back of your armpits, so that your arms will extend out to the side, your collarbones broaden and release towards your shoulders, towards the floor. And then you can lift the buttocks and lengthen the buttocks towards your heels. And then let the legs release like this. So the idea of this small roll is that it allows for a support to the backs of your armpits so that you can release your outer shoulders down and broaden your collarbones. And then to come on out, you'll bend your legs and roll over to your right side. Thank you for listening today.